Good morning, McGee. I am privileged today to have three nice-looking men with me who are not politicians. And it seems like lately that a lot of all that I've been talking about or talking to have been political figures and political and campaign issues. But today we are going to be discussing something that I think will be dear to everyone's heart. Because as a Christian, we are aware of the plight that everyone has in the world. I think sometimes I tend to think of the people just locally. I hear others talk about the African missions. But when you actually have someone from Africa who is here, that visiting, who lives it every day, it brings a completely new vision to the problem. And I'm going to ask Richie Womack, who's with me, to introduce Jonathan, and then I think most of you know Brother Paul Barnard of Overflow Church, and Richie's going to give you a little information about Jonathan.
Good morning. This is my friend Pastor Jonathan Bongo. He is as a translator and planning churches, and what we've done over there with his help and help of others, we've planted churches and did some feeding programs for orphans and working on water wells, and occasionally we get the opportunity to host a friend from over there come stay with us for a few days. Last year we had a gentleman named Boaz come stay with us, and this year we're privileged to have Jonathan come stay with us. He spoke at Overflow last night. He's going to be here a couple more days doing a few things, and he's here, like Miss Sue said, to shed some light and bring a little more reality to situations that are going on in Africa. But Jonathan is 39 years old, 38? 39. 38. Is married to a lovely wife. His wife's name is Jessica. And he has 5 children. And he is definitely a man of God. And God's given this man a vision. And we've seen some of it come to fruition. And we've seen God working in his life. And we're just privileged to be involved with him.
I want you to tell us a little bit about actually where you live in Africa and what's going on in your village. If you live in a village, if you live out in the bush. I don't know all the right words, but tell us a little bit about where you are in the church that y'all formed.
Thank you very much. I come from Kenya, Kisumu. Kisumu is along the shores of Lake Victoria, and Lake Victoria is the main source of River Nile flowing into Egypt. Apparently we are settling along the shores because we are fishermen. And when I say I'm a fisherman, we fish. But I thank God that as much as we are fishing fish, God revealed himself for us to fish men. Sometimes we run out of fish because we're not guaranteed to have fish in the lake. And God provides a way on how we can survive without the fish. I want to say that in Kisumu, in the rural areas where I preach, we have been doing several things as opposed to what God is leading us to do. Number one thing, that we live without knowing what we would eat tomorrow. And that means we live with hope, and through faith, God provides. It's unbelievable that sometimes you want to wake up in the morning, expect food on the table. You want to get the food until evening because it's only one meal that you have to prepare. So it means you wake up in the morning to make sure that you have what to eat. Kisumu as a town has its own environs, and the environs of Kisumu has been well attacked with HIV/AIDS, and that means it's contributing to vulnerable children who are left orphaned. Young girls turn to prostitution as a result of cashing money to help their siblings. And this doesn't work well because AIDS is sweeping them and they're all dying. Apparently the rate is going high. Now the church and other organizations are coming in to bring awareness on both physical and spiritual aspect. And this means we have to train and teach people on how to live a pure and holy life. And when we have all this happening, we as well experience that health facilities are not there. Why? Because we rely on God to heal them, not the doctors. Because sometimes the hospital is far away from where we are, like 10 kilometers, and it's the night. It's only relying on God to give a healing. So this has been so much empowered with our brothers coming to visit, to educate, disciple, and do church planting, because it is God who can take us through all this suffering. If it is food, God has the provision. If it is health, God has the healing. And if it is a matter of the spiritual, then we have the church where people run to as a refuge to get help. So we experience a lot because most of the time what we have is not enough and the needs are overwhelming.
I had read earlier, and we had talked yesterday, about the problems with the lack of water in Africa and in your part of the country. Tell a little bit about the rainy season and how it has worked this year, or not worked, might be the better way.
Specifically where Kisumu is, we are at the shores of Kisumu, Lake Victoria. We are really low before the sea level. So it means we only experience main rains only once in a year. And the rains normally come and they appear between March, April, June, May, and then in June the government introduced some crops that when you plant only 3 months, then you harvest. But the harvest is so minimal, just for the sake of helping and maybe capturing the rainy season. We only have 3 months, and then thereafter we depend on having to what we have got from the shamba. When I say shamba, from the gardens. So after that, the rains run short. So this brings forth the inadequacy of water and food. The rivers are seasonal. They are not permanent. They are seasonal. They dry. And if they dry, we run out of water. And as much as whenever we have the rains, people tend to drink whatever they get, whether clean or bad, since we need water. So that makes us to be so much limited in using water. Like a 20-liter of tin can be used with 5 people in a family, of which sometimes you don't think of maybe washing your body, only thinking on how you can eat and drink with the water.
How long has the drought been prevalent?
Since we had the other time, in the 2007, we had a post-election violence. We as a Christian, we are looking at like maybe there was an abomination, because since 2007 the rains have really disappeared. We have not been receiving enough rain, and that makes it more difficult to get food and rely on rain as a supply of water. And the drought has continued until we don't have any more food in the store. So this makes it not to be sure whether to have food or not. And then the government is trying to put things in place, but as much as they do that, things have gone up in their pricing, such that those who do not have money, those who are poor, cannot manage even to make food on the table, because there is no food, because the rain normally comes at a given time. And because of that, we have experienced almost 3 years inconsistency of rainfall.
We're going to do a second video with Jonathan, because I know that you can tell from this that his knowledge and what he brings to us from his country is something that we all need to hear and need to learn. I appreciate all of you coming today, and I appreciate you at MageeNews News for your interest and care about others. We will be giving some ways in the next video that you can help on a personal level for Jonathan and his villages. Thank you.